And I am live, up Sofa Squad, and welcome back to another edition of On the Sofa 31. And as you can see, it's just me on my own this evening. No bad-tempered badger with me this time. Greg is in the chat. He's asking, is the Queen or Stool here tonight? No, neither of them, unfortunately. So I guess I'm just going to soldier on my own, at least for now. But we'll see if anyone else joins later on. But before I start, I just want to plug my Patreon. If you want to join my one and only Patreon, Greg, and support the channel, you can from as little as £1 a month. For £1 a month, you become a Couch Crisp, and Couch Crisps get a shout out both on YouTube and Twitter. For £4 a month, you become a Couch Chip. A Couch Chip gets the same as a Couch Crisp, plus will be included in video credits. And finally, for £8 a month, you become a Couch Potato. Couch Potatoes get the same as Couch Crisps, plus a 1 hour Zoom meeting where you get to ask me any questions within reason, of course, and suggest videos. So there are perks to becoming a patron. So, yeah. And and all the proceeds. Yeah, Greg. Greg is right. He's saying £1 doesn't seem like too much. Yes, yeah. No, it's not. It's not, is it? And you get a couple of perks, and you get more. And the more you pay per month, as I just said, the more perks you get, and you'll be helping me to make this channel better. What I'd like to do, one thing I would like to do is pay for the premium version of StreamYard, so I get all the bells and whistles, and I can have my own logo in the top right-hand corner, for example. Instead of the leaves, I can have my own background. I can have, I can have more than 6 people in here at any one time, and I can broadcast on multiple platforms as well. So yeah, it'd be great to be able to do that, and and there are other ways that I'd like to make this channel better as well. So yeah, if you appreciate the stream and you enjoyed the other videos I make, and you'd like to support the channel, you can become a patron, or you can buy me a coffee, and the links to both of those things are in the description. Oh, we've got Hans P.S. Hansen in the chat. Hello, Hans. And Greg is asking, how much for premium? I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think it's something like £30 a month, but I could be wrong. I'll have to look into it. But I think it's something like that anyway, something like £30 a month. So if 30 people become £1 a month patrons, anyway. Yeah, so that said, all the the begging out of the way, let's get into this. And usually I start the show with Tory Twats, but this time I'm going to start the show with Labour Woes. Because Labour are in trouble. They are doing really badly in the polls, and Keir Starmer, the leader of the Labour Party, his approval ratings are lower than ever before, and you'd think that despite all the Tory corruption, despite the woeful way they've handled the coronavirus, despite the racism, the rampant racism from the party, despite all of that, they're still ahead of Labour in the opinion polls. So Labour are in trouble, and we're going to look at some possible reasons why that might be. Starting with the stench of Islamophobia in the Labour Party is getting stronger. This is a story from The Independent. This is an article in The Independent by Rachel Shabby. Whether through cack-handed mismanagement or calculated strategy, the opposition is sowing pain, alienation, and mistrust among Muslim members and voters, she says. Oh, Robert X is with us. What? No US viewers, he asks. And no, it doesn't seem to be, not at the moment anyway. So the article goes on. There's Keir Starmer there, the leader of the Labour Party. Oh, Greg is from the US, aren't you, Greg? Yes, he is. He's saying, I am US. The smell of double standards within the Labour Party in its approach to different elements of its voter base is becoming overwhelming. Whether through cack-handed mismanagement or calculated strategy, the opposition is sowing pain, alienation, and mistrust among Muslim members and voters alike, while also pursuing the sort of principles-free divide and rule tactics that would make a colonial-era viceroy proud. Oh, it's saying register for free to continue reading. No thanks, I'll try later. Such hurtful inconsistency was in evidence in the quiet reinstatement of writer and broadcaster Trevor Phillips after he was suspended from Labour over alleged Islamophobia last year. Among Phillips's comments are that UK Muslims are a nation within a nation, and that a Muslim family fostering a non-Muslim girl would be akin to child abuse. And yet they've quietly reinstated this guy into the Labour Party, even though he said these things. Oh, Hans is saying, shared to my 2 followers on Twitter. Thank you, Hans. I appreciate it. So, yeah, it's not a good look. It is not a good look at all for the Labour Party. The article goes on. We might argue for days over Labour's Byzantine disciplinary processes, or even its blanket policy on suspensions pending inquiry. Nonetheless, Philip's readmission without explanation, a decision apparently taken above the unit responsible for still ongoing investigation, smacks of bedroom decision-making, the sort of Jeremy Corbyn's Labour was routinely accused of in its handling of anti-Semitism. And so when Jeremy Corbyn was leader of the Labour Party, he himself and other members of the party were routinely accused of anti-Semitism, and most of these accusations, proved not to be true. But now the party are being accused of Islamophobia, and but I think so whether or not there's there is a real problem with Islamophobia in the party remains to be seen, because this story seems to be just about the one person who made a couple of Islamophobic comments and was suspended from the party and has now been reinstated. But we'll see how this story develops. But either way, it's not a very good look for the Labour Party, who are supposed to be the party of anti-racism. Okay, but let's take a look at another story now. So this one's quite interesting. This is from the Electronic Intifada, who report mostly on what's happening in Palestine. And the headline is "Take Palestine Off Agenda," says Jewish Labour Movement. And the article says this: the Jewish Labour Movement has been using its new anti-Semitism training sessions to suppress debate on Palestine in the UK Labour Party. Footage of online training and awareness-raising sessions shows JLM chair Mike Katz suggesting that party officials should halt discussions on Palestine. If you're setting the agendas, there's lots of really important international issues going on out there, he said. You don't have to have motions on Israel-Palestine on your agenda every single month, he continued, suggesting party meetings instead discuss other issues, including Brexit and the Uyghur Muslim minority in China. The training sessions are being run by the JLM on behalf of the Labour Party. Recordings were obtained by the Electronic Intifada. The Jewish Labour Movement is a pro-Israel lobby group with close ties to the Israeli embassy in London. So, since they have close ties to the Israeli embassy in London, you could say there's a bit of a conflict of interest there. But I'll let you I'll let you guys come to your own conclusions. But again, I don't think this is a very good look for the Labour Party. It's Is it right to want to stamp anti-Semitism out of your party? Yes, it is. Greg is asking, how do you train for anti-Semitism? Well, that's a good question. How do you train for anti-Semitism? Well, just not be anti-Semitic, I suppose. But this is a reaction to what I was alluding to earlier, that under Jeremy Corbyn, there were dozens of accusations, hundreds even. Some say of accusations of anti-Semitism within the party, and from Jeremy Corbyn himself. But some might argue that this is to allow the pendulum to swing too far in the other direction. You could say that this is an overreaction to the issue of anti-Semitism in the party. And most of these accusations turned out to be slurs, because they've been mostly debunked. And so now, the Labour Party have brought in, this group. What's Robert X? Well, Robert X is saying, you start by complaining about one Jew, then you convince yourself that they are all bad. Then you say they are all bad because they are Jews. Done. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I see. That's how you train for. That's how you would train for anti-Semitism. Four-step program, he says. But yeah, I think this is. So what they seem to be saying is, you can't, don't talk too much about what's happening in Palestine, even though the Israeli government are systematically oppressing the Palestinian people. They're killing children, they're bombing innocent people. Now, don't talk too much about that, because after all, you don't want to come across as anti-Semitic, do you? So you can read into that what you want. I personally think it's to allow the pendulum to swing too far the other way. Robert X is saying, by the way, I'm not anti-Semitic, nor do I want to be. Yes. Yeah. No, no one. Who does want to be anti-Semitic? No one in the right mind. No one in their right mind wants to be a racist. And yet here we are. Racism is still rife in this world, sadly. Anyway. Now let's move on. This is an article from the Squawk Box. Starmer chooses most volatile weekend in Northern Ireland calendar to announce his anti-Irish reunification, and it would be illegal if he ever became Prime Minister. So, Good Friday Agreement stipulates rigorous impartiality by UK government in a reunification referendum mandated by peace deal. Keir Starmer has been accused of recklessness beyond the extreme in his decision to announce on the weekend before loyalists light huge bonfires and tensions escalate in Northern Ireland that he will campaign strongly against the reunification of Ireland if a referendum is triggered under the Belfast or Good Friday Agreement, also known as GFA. Starmer stuck to his position even when he was challenged by his interviewer about neutrality, and the BBC man pushed that point with good reason. The GFA obliges the UK government to maintain rigorous impartiality in the event of such a referendum. And as you can see, he screenshotted an extract from the Good Friday Agreement here. It says, affirm that whatever choice is freely exercised by a majority of the people of Northern Ireland, the power of the sovereign government with jurisdiction there shall be exercised with rigorous impartiality on behalf of all the people, and the diversity of their identities and traditions shall be founded on the principle of full respect for and equality of civil, political, social, and cultural rights, of freedom from discrimination for all citizens, and of parity of esteem, and of just and equal treatment for the identity, ethos, and aspirations of both communities. So, and we've got some comments here. Hans is saying, it's that thing that being an anti-Semite would mean you are against all Semite people, and that includes the Palestine people. That's an interesting point. Robert X is saying, by the way, being anti-Semitism is not equal to complaining about what Israel is doing in Palestine. I think I agree with that point. It's not anti-Semitic to criticize the actions of the Israeli government. Robert X goes on, being against Jews is not the same as being against Israeli politics. There should be nothing wrong with the latter. Yes, exactly. And I think that's an important distinction to make. We need to make that distinction. But unfortunately, people don't make, a lot of people don't make that distinction. A lot of people, if you publicly criticize the Israeli government and their actions against the people, against the Palestinian people, you're accused of being anti-Semitic. No, I'm not being anti-Semitic. I'm just criticizing the Israeli government. There's a difference. But going back to this current story, this is not a good look for Keir Starmer at all. This was not widely reported in the mainstream media, but it's but if Keir Starmer's predecessor, Jeremy Corbyn, had made a gaffe like this, it would have been all over. It would have been on the front page of every newspaper, been all over the BBC, it would have all over Sky News. it would have been everywhere. But so far, this I think there's only been mentioned in Squawk Box and a couple of other independent newspapers that I've seen anyway. The article goes on. The likelihood of the feeble Starmer ever becoming Prime Minister is, he uses a long word, diaphanously thin, but if he ever were to occupy Downing Street, it would be illegal for him to campaign in any direction, and his statement, even on any other day, would be a slap in the face to Republicans in Northern Ireland, who would include many and probably most on the left and many Roman Catholics. So not a good look for Keir Starmer there, the leader of the Labour Party. And talking of Jeremy Corbyn, he's in a bit of trouble as well, by the looks of things. Jeremy Corbyn under investigation by Parliament watchdog. The former Labour leader is being investigated over the registration of an interest under the guide to the rules. There he is. There's Mr. Corbyn there. This is a story in the Evening Standard. Jeremy Corbyn is under investigation by Parliament's sleaze watchdog following allegations he did not properly declare financial support given to him for legal disputes involving anti-Semitism. The former Labour leader is under investigation over the registration of an interest under the Guide to the Rules by the Parliamentary Commissioner for Standards. It comes after Labour MP Neil Coyle wrote to the Commissioner regarding financial and in-kind support for legal disputes. The former leader, who now sits as an independent MP, has been involved in. It should be said that Neil Cole has been an opponent of Jeremy Corbyn's right from the word go, and did all he could. Well, whilst Jeremy Corbyn was the leader of the party, to undermine him, and tweeted against tweeted against him all the time. So it comes as no surprise to me that that Neil Coyle has done this. There he is. There's Neil Coyle. In the letter, first reported by Sky News, Bermondsey and Old Suffolk MP Mr. Coyle, who is a critic of Mr. Corbyn, said he believed his former boss may have broken the code of conduct for MPs of over declaring the support. He claimed that the former leader had received financial support for legal cases involving him in various legal disputes, principally surrounding anti-Semitism, but that he has said had not been properly declared. So he's got no evidence for this. He just thinks he may have done this. At the time, Mr. Corbyn told Sky News, "I will be liaising with the Commissioner in response to Neil Coyle's correspondence." The former Labour leader had the Labour whip withdrawn in October 2020 following his response to an Equality and Human Rights Commission report into anti-Semitism in the party. And I think this is sour grapes on behalf of Neil Coyle. Coyle has always had it in for Corbyn, and he's always made that clear. so this could well be just him stirring up more trouble for someone who no longer has any power in the Labour Party. He's had the whip removed. He's been suspended from the party. He's now an independent member of Parliament. He no longer has any power in the Labour Party. So why Neil Coyle is so scared of him even now, I don't know. So, but that's my take on things anyway. I think this is sour grapes. I think, and if I were Jeremy Corbyn, I would sue him for for defamation of character or something along those lines anyway. What else have we got? Okay, one more story about Labour, about the Labour Party from Labour List, an article by Sienna Rogers. This is an article about Stephen Kinnock, the son of former Labour Party leader Neil Kinnock, who's now a Labour member of Parliament himself. And the article says this: Labour figures led by Stephen Kinnock are launching a new organisation, Renaissance, that aims to help the party make a serious effort to reconnect with voters it has lost, rather than retreat to its comfort zone and drift to irrelevance. Renaissance will make the case that Labour should rebuild support in constituencies lost to the Conservatives in 2019, as opposed to pursuing a blue wall strategy that would target Remain-leaning Tory seats in the south of England. But there's no need for them to do any of this. The reason why they're failing to connect with voters is because they have no vision. They have no discernible policies anymore, because they've abandoned, all the policies that Jeremy Corbyn and his team put in place. So now, and this, they've been so keen to be a new party with a new leadership that has got nothing to do with Jeremy Corbyn. They've ditched all of that, but now they've got nothing. They've got nothing. They've got no vision and no discernible policies, nothing to capture the voters' imagination. No, nothing concrete for people to get behind. And that's why they're drifting towards irrelevancy. They don't need to to form a special group to investigate why this is happening. Just ask me, I'll tell them. But this just smacks of desperation. It's stupid. It's really lame. It's really lame. Really, and again, it's just instead of doing what needs to be done, put some decent put some put a decent manifesto together. But the thing is, the manifesto they had in 2017 was a good manifesto. It was a good socialist program. And in his book, The Candidates, Alex Nuns argues that it was a popular program. People liked it. People were enthusiastic about the 2017 manifesto. So they need to take a take a look at that manifesto and maybe think seriously about adopting most, if not all of those policies and run with them again. And Hans is saying, yeah, same thing in my country. No vision, and it's some kind of tax cuts. All they have is some drama. Yeah, exactly. But at the moment, Keir Starmer, he either agrees with what the government are doing when he's supposed to be opposing them, or he sits on the fence and tells his MPs to abstain, from difficult votes in the House of Commons. He's just a wet fish, who doesn't seem to have anything to offer. People will only vote for you if you give them something to vote for. And that's my 2 cents anyway. Anyway, moving on to the next segment now. The segment you've all been waiting for, I'm sure. Tory Twats. And who was our first Tory Twat? Hang on. It would help if I had the article ready. Let's have a look. What have we got here? Yeah, let's start with Priti Patel, shall we? Yeah, so let's, if I can press the right buttons. I'm always doing that. So this is an article from The Independent. Home Office spent £370,000. This is of taxpayers' money, by the way, settling Patel bullying claim by top civil servant. Sir Philip Rutnam accused Ms. Patel of a vicious and orchestrated briefing campaign against him. There she is, there's Priti Patel. The Home Office spent more than £370,000 to settle a top civil servants tribunal claim after he quit amid allegations of Priti Patel's bullying, departmental accounts confirm. Former Permanent Secretary Sir Philip Rutnam accepted the 6-figure sum earlier this year after launching legal action against the Home Secretary. He dramatically resigned in February last year, accusing Ms. Patel of a vicious and orchestrated briefing campaign against him, claiming constructive dismissal and accusing her of bullying subordinates. An employment tribunal was due to hear his case in September. The Home Office's annual report and accounts for 2020 to 21 confirm he received a payout of £340,000 plus legal costs, taking the spend to at least £370,000 plus VAT of an anticipated £6,000. Although the figures were previously reported, neither Sir Philip's representatives nor the department would publicly disclose the amount at the time. The document published on Thursday said Sir Philip Ruttenham resigned from his post as Permanent Secretary of the Home Office on the 29th of February 2020 and subsequently began legal proceedings against the department. On the 4th of March 2021, the Home Office and Sir Philip signed an agreement to settle these proceedings. As part of this settlement, the Home Office made a special payment of £340,000. A contribution to his legal costs was also made of £30,000 plus VAT. Shadow Home Secretary Nick Thomas Simmons said, taxpayers will be appalled at having to pick up the bill for the Home Secretary's unacceptable behaviour. And he's right. Taxpayers should not have to pay for this. This is because he's right. This is taxpayers' money. Taxpayers should not have to pay £370,000 so that Priti Patel can settle a bullying claim against her out of court, basically. So not only is Priti Patel a bully, she's also corrupt. But then we knew this anyway. She's part of a corrupt government. So it's just one thing after another with this government. They're rotten to the core. I'm sick and tired of them. But because they've got an 80-seat majority in the House of Commons, and we've got to put up with them for another 3 years. It's another it'll be another 3 years before we have a general election and have an opportunity to vote to vote them out. But anyway, let's move on. This is interesting. Now then, see if I can get it right this time. Yes, Tory. This is from the Mirror. Tory Nadine Dorries says some families have enjoyed lockdown. Ms. Dorries told the Health and Social Care Committee there had been a 22% increase in eating disorder referrals in the last 11 months, but that some families had reported an improvement in mental health. There she is. There's Nadine Dorries. Tory Health Minister Nadine Dorries has said that some families have enjoyed lockdown. The minister responsible for mental health was among those giving evidence to MPs who also heard that just 40% of children were accessing the support services they needed. Ms. Dorries told the Health and Social Care Committee there had been a 22% increase in eating disorder referrals in the last 11 months. She added, I know the outlook about the pandemic and the impact on mental health, if you read the media, is all doom and gloom. In fact, some people, particularly families, actually report an improvement in mental health and improvements in well-being. Some people surprisingly enjoyed lockdown with their children for a year, so it wasn't all doom and gloom. So she's trying to detract away, deflect away rather. This is classic, Tory deflection. Deflect away from the fact that there's been a 22 increase in eating disorder referrals in the last 11 months. She's trying to deflect away from that, saying it's not all bad news. It's not all doom and gloom. Some families have actually enjoyed being locked down together. Her evidence followed reports that 1.5 million children will need mental health treatment in the wake of repeated lockdowns. NHS experts have highlighted cases of children as young as 5 suffering panic attacks about meeting their friends. No, this is just doom and gloom. This is just doom and gloom, she's saying. Some families have enjoyed lockdown. She really makes me sick. This really burns my ass. God damn. Yes, Greg, you're right. They live on lies, don't they? Yeah. Yeah, and it's sickening. I'm going to move on from this actually before I get too angry, because it's really you can probably tell that I'm getting quite emotional about this actually. So let's see what else we've got here. Close that one. Right. Let's do this one again from the Mirror. Boris Johnson's Brexit chief blames Northern Ireland chaos on his predecessors under Theresa May. This guy here, Lord Frost, he's the one in charge of Brexit negotiations, and he's blaming the chaos that has ensued because of the Northern Ireland Protocol that he negotiated, that he signed. He's blaming the consequences of this deal on his predecessor, Theresa May. He's another Tory scumbag who blames everything that goes wrong on everyone but himself. Tory Brexit chief Lord Frost has blamed chaos in Northern Ireland on his predecessors under Theresa May. The Conservative peer and Brexit minister was grilled in person by Assembly members on Stormont's Executive Office Committee, which is scrutinising issues arising from Brexit on Friday. Lord Frost argued that the problems with the post-Brexit agreement that has caused a trade barrier in the Irish Sea are largely down to the EU's implementation of the deal he helped to broker. Now, hang on a minute. We Remainers, we warned you time and time again that if you go through with this deal, there's going to be a border in the Northern Ireland, in the Irish Sea. There's going to be a border between Northern Ireland and Great Britain. But you said, no, that that's not the case. There's not going to be any. Boris Johnson, and said that he promised that there's not going to be any checks on goods going into Northern Ireland from Great Britain or going out of Great Britain to Northern Ireland. But lo and behold, there is a border in the Irish Sea. There are checks, and there is chaos. And now Lord Frost is complaining about it. But instead of accepting the blame himself, he's blaming Theresa May. He argued that the protocol could have been better negotiated if it were not for the work done by the team of Boris Johnson's predecessor as Prime Minister. DUP member Christopher Stalford quoted Mrs. May's former Chief of Staff, Lord Barwell, who has claimed that Mr. Johnson's government knew it was a bad deal, but intended to wriggle out of it later. Mr. Stalford said that Lord Frost had inherited a dog's breakfast of a deal, adding, excuse me, adding, "You've been left to clean up the mess, haven't you?" Lord Frost responding, "We intended to implement what we signed up to, but it's just the fact of the implementation that's causing the problem." No, that's the deal that you signed. That's what you signed. Anyway. And I've just realized I haven't been sharing the article all this time, so I apologize for that. Hans is saying, at least they put up a crisis fund for mental health for young folks in Norway, but feel it hardly enough for more than Oslo. Feel mental health is extremely low budgeted everywhere. Yes, I think I think you're right. Oh, anyway, these guys, they really make me hot under the collar. They make me mad, honestly. Anyway, moving on. Moving on. I think we're just going to have a couple more stories, then I'll call it a night. Liz Truss next. And I'll actually remember to share the article this time. Here we go. Okay. Okay, that's definitely sharing now. from the New European. Liz Truss caught out over untrue Brexit claims over apples and trade. This is what the thumbnail is all about, you see. There she is. There's Liz Truss. It has been a gloomy week on the sunlit uplands of sovereign Britain, as we learned exactly why Liz Truss rhymes with mistrust. While Brexit continues to deliver more empty shelves for consumers, more carnage to our food and fishing sectors, and more chaos to the people of Northern Ireland, the eternal sunshine of our International Trade Secretary's spotless mind continues to deliver more doses of what seems like good news for faithful leavers. Our apples are now on their way to India for the first time in 50 years, thanks to the enhanced trade partnership, she tweeted last Saturday, a couple of days after declaring that today the UK has signed the most advanced trade deal that Norway, Iceland, and Liechtenstein have ever agreed. This will slash tariffs and cut red tape. With results like that, it's no wonder Truss continues to top the Conservative Home Party member satisfaction rating, making her easily the most popular cabinet member ahead of Rishi Sunak, Dominic Raab, and David Frost. Yet examine her claims in detail, and as lovers of acronyms would say, it all goes Truss International Trade Security up. Yes, exactly. Britain has not been unable to export apples to India while in the EU, as Truss suggests. It has simply chosen not to do so. For one thing, demand in the UK far outstrips what we grow. For another, Belgium managed to send 10 million kilos of its apples to India in 2017 while still being part of the European Union. So, guess what? Another Tory caught out lying. Who would have thought it? How do you like them apples? Greg is saying, sometime you should do a story about the anti-vaxxer movement in UK. What percentage of population? How well organized are they? Yeah. Yes, that's a good idea, Greg. Yeah. I think, yeah, that's something I may look into. But there is certainly an anti-vaxxer movement in the UK. I don't think it's anywhere near as big as the anti-vaxxer movement in the US. But there is one. Funnily enough, we're talking about Jeremy Corbyn earlier on. His brother, Piers Corbyn, is one of the leaders of the anti-vaxxer movement here in the UK. And he has actually been arrested for leading a demonstration, an anti-vax, anti-lockdown, anti-mask demonstration in London when when we're all supposed to be locked down. He was actually arrested, and he actually ran for London mayor. If you remember, a few episodes ago, we were talking about that. So yeah, Lawrence Fox is another proponent of this anti-vaxxer, anti-lockdown, anti-mask movement here in the UK. And funnily enough, he also ran for London mayor as well, but he didn't get very, just like Piers Corbyn, he didn't get very far. Hans is saying, well, at least they don't suggest that Trump should get the Nobel Peace Prize like some in Norwegian government, or at least as far as I know. No one is suggesting that either Piers Corbyn or Lawrence Fox should get the Nobel Peace Prize. At least no one has suggested it yet. And we've just gone over 1 hour. So I'm just going to try and share one last story with you guys. Which I hope will cheer us up a bit. Let's see. Yeah, that's the one. This is from the Poke. Anti-maskers are boycotting Waterstones for suggesting people wear a mask. 9 comebacks you can't put down. And just in case you don't know, Waterstones is a major bookstore here in the UK, and they're suggesting that their customers continue to wear a mask. When stores are crowded, after the July the 19th, when the government is removing all the restrictions. But even the government are encouraging people to continue to wear masks in crowded stores and then crowded trains and in other crowded places. So Waterstones are actually in line with what the government are actually suggesting themselves. And yet, anti-maskers are still planning to boycott Waterstones. So it's quite amusing, really. Anyway, their article says this: Boris Johnson will end England's lockdown rules on 19th of July, despite predictions that up to 200 people a day will die and new daily cases could reach 100,000. A lot of retailers and public services are taking it upon themselves to encourage people to continue to wear masks and observe social distancing, including high street book chain Waterstones. And anti-maskers were predictably furious, including what you might most politely describe as the usual suspects, including talk radio presenter Julia Hartley-Brewer. There's her tweet there. I made a point of buying books at my local Waterstones rather than ordering on Amazon because I want bookstores to thrive. But if I go into your store and a member of staff asks me to wear a mask, you will lose my business forever. No one is going to ask you to wear a mask. That's not what they're doing. They're just it's just a suggestion. They're just encouraging customers to wear face masks and observe social distancing. It even says so in their tweet. They're not going to try and make it. They're not going to make it mandatory for you to wear face masks in their stores, or to observe social distancing in their stores. It's just a suggestion. Lawrence Fox, who I mentioned earlier, Amazon won, Waterstones finished. That's what he tweeted. And these 9 comebacks are all worth a read. Canongate tweeted this: It's so nice that Waterstone staff finally have something good to look forward to after such a tough year. Big green bookshop. Do it, Waterstones. Richard Littler tweeted, number of well-read people visiting Waterstones before the pandemic, 1,000 per day. Number of well-read people visiting Waterstones after the pandemic, minus all the anti-maskers and those threatening to boycott Waterstones for encouraging masks, 1,000 per day. Terry tweeted this, attention everyone, Waterstones is a COVID safe and Julia HB free zone. Who's joining me on a book buying shopping spree? Eddie Robson tweeted, I see the same people who whine about council culture and loudly boycotting Waterstones for asking, not forcing, customers to wear masks. Oh, dear. Don't forget, Nathaniel Tapley says this, don't forget that Julia is such an avid consumer of books that she sits in front of a whole wall of her house, which is covered in wallpaper that's meant to look like books rather than the many other parts of her house that no doubt contain many actual books. Oh dear. Jazzy001010 says, hi Waterstones. If you enforce this, then it means I will never have the chance of bumping into Julia. I promise I will never buy another book on Amazon ever again. P.S. I used to work for you, one of the best companies I've ever worked for. Chris Bryant tweeted this. So, Waterstones it is. Neil M. tweeted, how many books do you buy a year? I'll cover the money they won't earn due to your boycott, just so they don't suffer as a result of you not wanting to keep people safe. Dr. Tony Cliff tweeted, all the selfish weirdos saying they're boycotting Waterstones because they're asking customers to wear a mask, as if they've ever actually shopped there. The way people go on, you think wearing a mask for a max of 20 minutes is the same thing as waterboarding. Embarrassing. So there's all the comebacks. And we've got some comments I see. Just one. Actually, Hans saying this, I wear a mask even after my second dose of vaccine, but see parents bring their kids into stores and the parents has mask, but the kids has not. As far as I know, kids has no natural immunity. Yes, that's right. And children can still get long COVID and suffer from long-term, COVID, related symptoms. So, yeah, wear a mask. Anyway, that's the end of tonight's episode of On the Sofa. Thanks to everyone in the side chat. I really appreciate your input. And if you're watching this after the fact and you've got this far, and you're new, then do subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss another video. And don't forget to like and share. Okay, bye for now.